All right, everybody, it's time to talk about Weekly Shonen Jump 2026, issue number 21. On the cover this week, we have Class 2B Hero Destroyerz, the new series by Sorachi, who is famously known for creating GINTAMA. This is a big deal. The plot synopsis, it doesn't sound super original, to be completely honest, but given the fact that this is a very experienced mangaka, very beloved mangaka, I have a lot of faith in this. I think it'll be good. But hey, we'll find out in a second. Beyond that, I do want to talk a little bit about the ToC this week. If you are subscribed and you look at my community posts ever, you'll have noticed that I put out a community post in regards to this week's ToC, saying that it looks like a joke. This ToC is an absolute joke. I saw this and it just completely ruined my week, to be honest. I think it's utterly baffling. I'm going to put it on screen right now. You can look at it yourself. Alien Headbutt is dead last, which is crazy because it was the highest ranked of the new 3 series just last week. And now it's shoved down to the bottom, right with Kineto's magic. And on top of that, Under Doctor, which honestly might be my least favorite so far of the new 3, is above Kagurabachi. Even someone Hertz kind of got the shaft this week, which is crazy. I've never seen someone Hertz that low. It's probably just to accommodate the color page situation, because they have to have Drawn to the Fire, get a new color page. I don't know, it's just whack, and I'm really mainly just frustrated about the new 3 series because this is insane. Why does this keep happening? So I want to directly call out Yu Saito, who is the current editor-in-chief of Shonen Jump, for his insane decisions over the course of his time being the editor-in-chief of this magazine. Time and time again, he has proven that the decisions made by editorial departments, more than likely, I guess none of this is exactly confirmed, but it all lines up, are ruining series. There's this weird push happening to get everything moving along at a fast pace that I don't really think any of these series came into this magazine with the intent of doing. Manga, I think, are best whenever it's a slow burn. You have to reveal the information at a readable pace. You can't just throw everything out there and expect people to be able to follow along. And this is what just keeps happening. It's like the series gets in the magazine, they have like a couple chapters of whatever they want, like a normal beginning of the series chapters, and then the editorial department is just like, all right, wrap it up, move along, come on, let's go, get to the point. What are you doing? Wasting time. And this keeps happening with every single series in this magazine. And it's killing series. It really is. The few that are able to adapt to things like that feel like invincible to it. Look at Someone Hertz. That doesn't really need to happen because the expectation is different. But if you are an action-focused series that enters this magazine, you need to be prepared to have like Water 7 levels of writing right out the gate, or else you're out of here. And it's just really bothering me. I hate how this keeps happening time and time again, and series are not being allowed to be what they want to be. Kineto's Magic is a perfect example. That series had personality for the first, I don't know, few chapters, maybe 5 or so, with some dips along the way. It wasn't perfect, but then it just slowly lost its identity to the point where now it's just My Hero Academia. Seriously. I want to say one last thing, and this part is completely speculative. I just want to make that very clear before I say it. But Yu Saito is a scared man. He is terrified of the day this magazine loses One Piece. This is what I wholly and firmly believe in my heart. He thinks that once One Piece ends, the magazine ends. He is trying so hard to find One Piece 2. He's on an endless and futile quest to find One Piece 2. And it's not going to happen. It will not happen. You need to let these series try to gain an identity before you get them out of the magazine. And even though Alien Headbutt, Kineto's Magic, they had an identity. Alien Headbutt still does. Kineto lost its, but it did have one, and it was interesting and unique. Whatever. They're dead in the water, both of those series. Maybe Under Doctor will live, I don't know. That would be ridiculous and unearned, I think, but it is what it is. But I think Kineto's Magic and Alien Headbutt are going to get axed. I know people like to say that the ToC isn't everything, but under this editor-in-chief, time and time again, we are proven that that really isn't the case. What you see is what you get. If you're at the bottom of the ToC, you're gone. Consistently, that is the case. And that is such a damn shame. All right, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about this issue. Class 2B Hero Destroyerz with a Z. Chapter 1, Demon King plus Demon King equals a beginning. True. Okay. I loved this a lot. It's really comforting to have a mangaka in this magazine who is experienced and successful, because you can feel it. This is somebody who knows what they're doing, and it just works. Every single aspect of this worked so well. The art was amazing. It was so funny, like genuinely and effortlessly funny, which is an incredibly difficult task and something that's very hard to pull off as well as it is here. Truthfully, nothing bad to say about this. The characters are so likable and they have their unique gimmicks that make them entertaining. The slapstick comedy is just perfect and it made me laugh every time. And just like the level of this interesting balance of a very immature humor, but also like intellectually stimulating humor, which is a fascinating sentence to even say. But it is very smartly written while still being really like crude and childish. As I was reading this chapter, I kept like coming into moments, I'd screenshot, I was like, oh, I'm gonna talk about this in the video. But then like as I'm here at the end of the chapter, I've read it all. Dude, there's too many. I keep scrolling. I cannot talk about every page I wanted to talk about. I'd basically be talking about the whole chapter. So just, I need to let you guys know, I thought this was perfect. I really like pretty much every joke that was in this chapter. It all worked. It was effortlessly funny. Demon King Commode is such a funny name. I love how he like has this gimmick where he acts like a bookworm, like classic, you know, stoic nerd character, kind of like Morihito in Witch Watch, but he's actually dumb as fuck. Nothing he says or does is actually like right or really even smart. But he's just role playing as a smart guy. This was so fun, and I really like having like the protagonist seat filled by two morally not very good characters, sorta, kinda. They're not like exactly evil. You'd think the actual Demon King would be more evil, but no, not really. Maybe we'll get there and learn more about the world that they originate from, but as of now, these are two characters who are just kind of morally ambiguous, I suppose, in our main character seat, which is really fun. And like the main villain is kind of treated as the hero who has taken over the world. And I do kind of wonder if there's going to be some shoe that drops later where in the world that they come from, Valorous and Akira are the two main characters. But Valorous, the world that she comes from, maybe it is some like mix where the Demon King is actually good and the hero is evil. I don't know. That could be the case. Either way, though, I thought this was phenomenal. It's just so confident and easy to read and very, very fun. I can't get enough of it. I was sad that it was over. I can't wait for more. This is just an instant hit in my eyes. Like, I already fell in love. And this is at no risk of going anywhere. This is an established mangaka. Even if this does get like low ratings for whatever reason, it'll still stick around longer than U19. Every single time, for the most part, that established mangaka has come back to the magazine, they get like an extended grace period just to, you know, I guess they get special treatment, which is kind of messed up in my opinion, to be honest, but it is what it is. I'll take as much of this as we can get. I really don't think you have to worry about it getting canceled because I see this being a really big hit anyway, and deservedly so. This was a fantastic first chapter, and I cannot wait for more. By the way, this is all coming from somebody who has not read GINTAMA. I don't know really anything about GINTAMA, so this is fresh opinion from me. One Piece chapter 1180, Omen. That was a very quick chapter to read. Not a whole lot really happened. It's kind of just a showcase of Imu in all of his glory, and it was pretty sick. The only thing that I think is kind of a detractor from this moment is just the fact that, as far as I can tell, he doesn't kill anybody in this exchange, which I think is kind of lame. Like, we can't even kill some fodder to just show how powerful this guy is. He hits Haruden with like a huge omen blast or whatever, and it looks like he lives, which is boring. I like what I wanted this chapter to be, and this is my fault for thinking of it like this, is when Madara shows up in the war in Naruto, and he just drops on the ground and he kills like, I don't know, 1,000 people with like hand-to-hand combat and then drops a meteor on them all. I wanted something like that. I just wanted to see this guy mow through people and showcase how powerful he is. And we get something akin to that, but it doesn't kill anybody, which is so lame. This guy is somebody who has like a zero tolerance policy. He should be just mowing down anyone in sight, but that's not what happens because it's One Piece and Oda hates killing people. Whatever, minor complaint, but you know, it's a cool chapter still. I like getting to see him in action. It's very surreal still that this is where we're at right now, but I think the main thing to talk about is just the end with Loki looming over him, telling him that he's the man he's looking for. And that's pretty damn cool. Excited to see what comes of this. I cannot even imagine. We're in an era of One Piece right now that is completely and totally unpredictable, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I enjoyed this. I was just a little let down, I guess. You can call it nitpicking if you want. Ichi the Wiz, chapter 79. How are you doing? The beginning of this chapter is actually pretty fun. I like this dynamic between Minataka and Destroyerz. They're just kind of like bantering about being Ichi's mentor. And, you know, you kind of think that Minataka doesn't really care about this whole debate, but then he chimes in with like oh, so you were his mentor after me, so that means I'm the #1 mentor. And that pisses her off, of course. It's a really fun dynamic because he acts so like smug and nonchalant about it, but no, he cares. And then we get the introduction to, I guess, our new villain for this upcoming arc, who is Fujimine, who just made me think of Fujiko Mine, because it's kind of like it's just like a combination of both of her names from Lupin the Third. Personality and design, absolutely nothing like her, but the name reminded me of her. She seems fun, just like a psycho killer girl, you know, classic trope, but I'm down. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I think this will be an interesting avenue to explore with this new concept introduced to us of the Magic Keepers and having kind of joint effort between the two organizations to introduce us first, but also with them having some like, or kind of like shady suspicion, like uneasy alliance, it kind of feels like, because there's definitely vibes between the Magic Keepers and the witches that don't really seem super friendly. And I'm sure that's something we'll uncover as this arc progresses and we see them interact more, but as of now, my opinions from last week still do stand. I think they're kind of a pointless addition to the story, and I fail to see long-term goals for this group. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm going to keep an open mind. I hope that they're cool. I just don't know if we needed something like this. That's all I can say. Let's just see what happens. But hey, for what it's worth, this is a pretty good chapter. Interesting introduction to our new villain here. And I am intrigued, so I guess it did its job.
Get this man a gun.
Drawn to the Fire, Chapter 2, Sparks Flying. Okay, why do I have nothing to say about this? I don't know, guys. This was okay. It didn't really get me on board with the series any more than last week. It just felt like more of last week, which is a weird thing to say because, I mean, damn, no shit, it's the same series, but it's weird for a Chapter 2 because I feel like in most cases, Chapter 1s are very relatively self-contained. It's an introduction, it's like a single story, it's not setting up like an arc or anything because it's Chapter 1, just hooking people. Let's see what this is about. So in that sense, this just feels like more pages to the first chapter, which again, this is a feeling I've never had in my life, but that's what's coming to mind. It's fine. I don't know. Like, I just don't have anything in particular to say about it. There's nothing like happening in this chapter that makes me be like, okay, let's go. This is exciting. This is cool and unique. It's just more of the same. And I didn't think last chapter was like wholly original either. It was fine. It was okay. I was digging it. And that's kind of the same thing here. Like, I don't hate this. It's fine. I don't know. I don't mind it. I'll read it. It doesn't really leave me with anything to say. I continue to like the dynamics between our two main characters, and we get a little look at the team here, just like small introductions. Not enough to go off of. I don't really know anything about them yet, but they are here. That's kind of it. It's a chapter. I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like I should have more to say about this series, but I really just don't. I feel like I should have more to say about this series, but I really just don't, for whatever reason. Oh well. I don't know. Here's the next chapter, I guess. I hope it's a little different. Witch Watch, chapter 244, Bone Crisis, part 13. Oh, it's an okay chapter. It's an action-focused chapter centered around Kanshi, and that is cool. It's cool to see a serious version of Kanshi. I thought that was actually pretty interesting and something you very rarely see. And it's cool to see him, you know, stick up for his friends and himself. It's nice. It's hard for me to really look back and envision like a character arc for Kanji because he's been mostly comedic relief for the whole series. But in terms of vibes, I suppose this feels like a good direction to take the character. But I can't really tell you if this was actually the result of a planned out character arc, because in memory, Kanji is just the funny guy, which there's nothing wrong with that. He's hilarious. He's actually my favorite character in the series, but just because of how damn funny his chapters are. This is still cool. I admire it. I respect it. I thought it was neat. And it's just cool to continue getting, you know, individual character moments for all of our main people. And I suspect that to continue in the following chapters. So we'll see who's next. Yeah, good chapter. Shinobi Undercover Chapter 78, Where Kasasagi Belongs. Really good one. Very nice continuation of last week. You know, we end off the whole Ryotka lock-in or whatever, zone out, I guess maybe is the better way to put it, section, and he's regained control of himself. There's a funny moment where like Op talks to him and he's like, oh, it's the real one talking to me now. Ryotka literally, like, to the people around him, he has to sound insane. The way his mind works is so fascinating. But then we focus on Kasasagi, and you know what? For as much criticism as I've given this character, when she's in a serious situation, I actually think she's a pretty strong character. This worked for me, this endeared me to her a lot more, and since we've been so far detached from the Kasasagi we were introduced to, I now have a higher opinion of this character. After this arc, is she gonna revert back to how she was before? Probably, and I won't like that. She wasn't very enjoyable to me before things got serious, but it is what it is. Not a whole lot of interesting Yoichi developments this week, really. He's kind of just raging out, but there is a hint of something interesting, and I'm still hoping for a future with this character that doesn't involve just like killing him off or getting rid of him right now, which I do not think is the direction we're going in, but I see a future for this character in some regard, whether it be ally, villain, like, you know, recurring villain, something, anything. I just want this character to stick around because he's very, very well written, in my opinion. I think this is a very strong character. Writing wise and physically, of course, I think he is pretty powerful. So that definitely ups the staying power of him, I think. Yeah, good chapter. Someone Hertz Chapter 30, Perfect Attendance Award. Another cute chapter. Well, I said it again. Look at that. It's going to be every week. Hello, Ed. You're all so cute. The only thing I have to note, I guess, about this chapter is the dream sequence that Mime has. I thought that was actually a pretty interesting insight into how he not exactly views the relationship, I suppose, but how he views her, typically. And that was cool, you know, it's something. There's not a lot of substance in this chapter in particular. It's more just, you know, another cute moment with these two bonding, connecting, doing things together. You know how it goes. And like hardly related to Munmed at all. There's very little like comedy stuff in this one. It was more just slice of life, like pure slice of life, which I liked. This was fun. It's another cute chapter, guys. He did the Monster Mash. Roku's House of Oddities, Chapter 3, The Great King Johan, Death of the Lord of Lies. Okay, so I know I've been pretty harsh on this series in the last 2 weeks, but this was much better. I thought this was actually pretty funny. The dog joke usage was at a minimum, and the one time they did actually use it, it was kind of funny. I just think having the characters out in public makes for a lot more funny scenarios. And this did work. It was really funny to see him just like walk in this hospital and instantly like everybody in that room is his servant and he's the king of the hospital. Even making like the head doctor kneel in defeat. It's pretty funny. The grandma's also funny. It's a really nice, it's a really interesting design, which I really enjoy. And overall, it was just really endearing. I had actually a pretty good time with this. There's some good like reaction shots and funny visual gags that worked. This is the most I've laughed in this series so far. Like actually laughed. I got like a chuckle out of chapter 1, but this I actually laughed. So hey, that's an improvement. I think now isolating the characters and showing us what they're capable of one by one is what we're going to be going into now, and I think that's a very good idea. Quit putting them in a group in chapter 1. I got to see what they're all about on their own first, and that's what we're doing. We're reeling it back, and I'm assuming chapter after chapter now we're going to get like one-on-ones with all of them. But this was a great introduction to Johan, like a proper introduction. It made me understand his gimmicks a lot more, and I actually quite enjoy it. So hey, massive improvement in my opinion. This was so much better than the previous 2 chapters. Akane-banashi Chapter 203, Session. Another incredible chapter, of course. This is just a continuation of the performance, but getting a more inwardly look at Akane as opposed to an outwardly look at the audience. We're seeing her thoughts as she's performing and seeing this new, semi-new concept of the performance taking on its own life, which I think is so cool. And again, without saying earlier at this point, but the way this manga portrays that happening is just brilliant. It really, it just feels like, it really does just feel like control is being lifted away from her. Like a spirit is possessing her, and that's like literally shown to us. Like something is entering her body and speaking through her. She's getting lost in the role, lost in the world. And that's what leads us to our last page where she's like back in her world of Rakugo, her Rakugo cinematic universe that she created. All the lines are blurring together and she's back in it. She's in this wonderful, wacky world that she both created and taken a part in. You know, it's not like she created Rakugo, but she basically reinvented it with her own spin. This is her interpretation of Rakugo, and we're seeing it in visual form, and I love it. Amazing, amazing chapter. It definitely feels like we're missing a piece of it, you know, as always with performance chapters like this. You know, we gotta see the next few pages to get the full picture of this, but I mean, I think we can all understand it for the most part still. But on its own, still an incredible chapter. I love getting to see inside Akane's head as she's giving this incredible performance. It's exactly what I wanted, and we got it. Can't wait for next week. Blue Box Chapter 239, Ally. Well, you know, it's another one of these chapters. It's just badminton. But what I do like about this is all the legwork this is doing for Yusa. It kind of sucks for Haruto, and this, don't get me wrong, this isn't doing nothing for Haruto. Haruto fans, I'm sure, are loving this. I'm just not a Haruto fan. But they're utilizing this game between Taiki and Haruto to further develop Yusa, who is a character that we haven't spent a whole lot of time with and who is about to be important. So I really like how efficiently Miura is handling the development of Yusa. It's cool. It's really well done, honestly. Even if it is last minute, it's still cool and admirable at how efficiently it's being handled. So yeah, it was a cool chapter. Still nothing I'd write home about personally, but I did enjoy it. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, Chapter 89, Going Under. More of the same, which isn't a bad thing by any means. It's just more fighting between these two characters. Definitely seem to be going into like the final bit of it, if this isn't the end here, which to me, it doesn't feel like it. We have well, first, before I get to the final page, I want to talk about this cool exchange that happens. It's a double page spread of all action panels where it starts with the two of them punching each other's face, Dragon Ball style, and then it's just kind of like a beatdown slugfest for the rest of the pages on this double page spread. It's really cool. I thought this was very fun to read through. I could like see it moving in my head, which is how you know it's good paneling. That's whenever you like they enter a flow state. They're just drawing at their highest capabilities. Then that's what I felt right there. But then we end with this Lux Omega Stella, which does look like a big definitive hit. But I just don't think this is it. But maybe it is. Like, I could equally see it being the end and also not being the end. This whole chapter did feel like, okay, this is the final exchange. But he could still get up one more time. We'll see. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But either way, I'm along for the ride. Even if this is the end of the fight, I thought this was fantastic. But I just have the sneaking suspicion that there's a little more to it. Either way, love Helzabobo. I think he's a really fun antagonist, and I really want to see him stick around in some capacity. A commenter last week brought up the idea of maybe having him stick around as like some kind of reoccurring villain. Like they didn't say this in the comment, but in my head I imagine like a Team Rocket-esque thing. Like he just kind of keeps showing up and challenging Kiyoshi for his own reasons. It's possible, but you know, the same thing I said about the other thing is it's equally possible and not possible. We'll just have to see. It could go either way.
Doctor, doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of...
Undercover Chapter 13, High Speed. You'll never guess what I'm going to say about this one, guys. Didn't like the action, and that's all this is. Now, I'm getting a lot of comments about Maxwell, our antagonist here, our opposing force. And I do at least want to touch on the fact that, yes, he is an interestingly written character conceptually. But I think in execution, it's poor because I don't like the fighting in this series. The action sucks. And having this character in the context of a fight doesn't work as well for me. I just think if they took this character, adjusted him a little bit, and threw him into a, more medical focused scenario, I'd be more on board with it. But because the focal point of this character is happening during a big fighting climax in the series. It just makes it not work at all. I just don't care. The action does nothing for me. That final double page spread was just like, okay, whatever. Like, what am I supposed to feel? Because I don't feel anything. It's just really unexciting action with hollow themes to back it. This series has heart, but it lies all in the medical chapters. The medical focus chapters is where it really shines. It still tries to have that same heart and identity during the fights, but it just doesn't come through. It doesn't push itself to the surface as much as it should. I don't know, man. I guess it's just a me thing. I know there are people who agree with me, but it is becoming more split. And that's a good thing. I mean, you know, people can have different opinions. I think it's interesting to challenge each other's ideals every week on this series. For me, I can't get into the action. It's just not going to happen. I've pretty much given up. I'm obviously not done reading it. I will read everything in this magazine. And who knows, maybe someday the fighting will win me over somehow if the series does stick around. But as of this moment in time, do not care. Not one bit. Kagurabachi Chapter 119, The Irishima Talks Part 3. So as with every other action-focused chapter of Kagurabachi, I kind of just want to gush about the art. And yes, I do know this isn't entirely action-focused because these are called the Irishima Talks, and they are in fact talking. But it's just like after every sentence they start fighting again, which I think is pretty funny. Anyway, incredible art. I just love how action is drawn in this series. The final 2 pages in particular is what I want to hone in on. These final 2 pages combined, obviously this is how you read it. You open it, you see 2 pages back to back, and it's just your eyes glide you along in such a proper and natural way to pull out and then reveal that insane final page, which looks so damn good. These 2 pages are a highlight of the week for me. I just thought it was so well framed and executed. That is so rad, man. I love that. This is Kagurabachi at its best. I just love when it can lock in and go all out on some good ass action and art in said action. Really cool stuff. And again, I do absolutely love how it still is a talk, but they just keep fighting each other after speaking. I don't know if it's intentionally funny or not, but it is funny regardless.
What are you doing, step bro?
Neway's Exorcist Chapter 142, The Dragon King. This is wild. I can't believe we're just doing this. I'm like mildly impressed, to be honest, at just how they gave like no downtime in between arcs, and we now just are going into this fight. This insanely big, high stakes fight is just happening. And like, it honestly kind of works, which is shocking, I know, to hear me say about Neway's Exorcist. Something in Neway's Exorcist works. Wow, that's crazy. But it does, I can't deny. I think this is kind of cool. I really like the fast-paced, like, just ridiculously, like, 0 to 100 level pacing and stakes that this fight offers. It's cool. It is cool. I cannot deny it. I still don't really care a whole lot about what I'm reading, but I can at least look at it and be like, hey, that's kind of neat to look at. Whereas opposed to every other chapter in recent memory where I look at it and I think, wow, this sucks ass and I hate this. So hey, well done, Neway. I'll give it up. This was not bad. This was actually kind of entertaining for once. Good job. Hima-Ten, Chapter 87, half a month left. Definitely gearing up for big things. We have the first half or so, more than half really, of the chapter dedicated to Iemori and Himari having a talk, and Iemori trying to figure out what his feelings for Himari even are. And part of this realization brings us this panel where he's thinking how awful he is, and then it cuts to a flashback of Himari's ass. This completely took me out of the entire chapter. Ass jump scare. Like, why? I know if you keep reading and go to the next page, it's referring back to when he walked in on her changing, but that really doesn't change anything because it's still like, why are you thinking about this, bro? What the fuck? That did not work. As intended, I don't think. But I did end up feeling bad for Himari. She's very upset about this and frustrated with herself and how she handled the situation and just how things ended up. That's a little sad. I feel bad for her. But we all know she's going to win in the end anyway, so whatever. Cut to Honoka now, and I still don't give a shit about her, but whatever, what can you do? Iemori cares, I guess. I'm starting to get a more clear picture of what's going to happen. I feel like as he hangs out with Honoka here, he's going to start to realize, like, I think I get more satisfaction when I hang out with Himari. I think that is more what I want, and I'm not really getting the feelings I want from hanging out with Honoka, which will lead him to Himari. That's my prediction on how this is going to end up. Maybe there's even a world where him and Honoka date for a little bit, but I don't think so. I think this will be like a weird, like almost dating thing for a little bit. We're going to dive in more detail with Honoka, probably move Himari out of the equation for a little bit, or at least move her out of frame. She'll probably still be around in some capacity, but she won't be a focus. And then kick her out, kick Honoka out, that is, and then bring Himari back and end the series. That's how I see this going. Maybe somehow, some way, the coming events will make me care about Kana or Honoka even a little bit, but I don't think so. Me and Roboco Chapter 278, Roboco the Body Double. I don't know. This was kind of a dud one for me. Didn't really laugh much. It was like a mildly entertaining concept. That might be all I have to say about this. I don't know. I don't know how this chapter even came about. Probably just like, oh, you know, these characters kind of look similar. Let's just do this. And then you make a whole chapter about it that's very, very wordy, by the way. Holy God. There's so many text bubbles in this chapter. And for what? They're not saying anything funny, that's for sure. I don't know. This one was just kind of a dud for me. It didn't really do anything for me personally. Maybe it killed one of you guys, made you die laughing, but did not hit that way for me, unfortunately. Kianto's Magic, Chapter 12, Dark Clouds. The placement on the ToC doesn't bode well for this, but hey, for what it's worth, I thought this was better than it's been, at least. It's still not great. It's still just kind of a heartless shell of what it was. It's got all of its identity stripped away, aside from like a small handful of moments that they managed to shine the personality through just a little bit. But it was cool seeing GN do something, even though it wasn't anything significant, to be honest. Like, it didn't look all that cool. He looked cool doing it, but the things he was doing, like, weren't very exciting. And then trying to set up some kind of, I don't know, thing with this skull guy. Let's destroy each other as many times as it takes. And then Kianto vowing to do the same. I don't care. Is this just some kind of desperate attempt to give us something to end on? Or is this really how he intended for things to go? This thing is like main villain level. I don't know, man. I don't care. Like, I'm ready to see this have a falling action segment where we reel it back and get more of what we had before, if that even happens. I don't even know if I don't have time for that now, because it's probably going to get axed at Chapter 19. So, like, what's the point, man? God, this is annoying. Talked about it in the intro, but, you know, I'm so frustrated at the editorial department lately. It killed this series. I really think so. I don't think many of the decisions that were made in this series that gave it the downfall it had were a result of the mangaka. I really think this is all editorial department pushing their stupid beliefs onto the series of like what should make it good, what series need to have to make it big and jump. They're just trying to like make a cookie cutter success formula, and it's not working, clearly. And they're not learning, because this has happened time and time again over the last like 5 years. They can't stop, dude. It's insane. Whatever. Thanks, Kianto, I guess. See you next week. See how long you last. Alien Headbutt, Chapter 11, Smoke Break. You know what? I'm just going to be blissfully unaware to the fact that this is the bottom of the ToC. I'm just going to continue to enjoy this series as if it's going to last 100,000 chapters. Whatever, man. I don't care. I like this series. I think it's so fun and enjoyable. I just want to let myself enjoy this and not think about the outside implications that are unfortunately befalling it. So, that being said, really cool chapter. We get to learn a little bit about the aliens that arrived here and how it's a pretty, you know, basic plot line, but there's still more to uncover about it. Just that, you know, essentially they want to take over the Earth. That's pretty much it. These two are smart enough to learn language, and they have an interest in Oga because he has a parasite. They call him an eligible candidate, so they want to study him, and then he lets himself get taken in a very heroic moment, which I thought was really sweet, where he basically gives himself up for the sake of his sister and the kid, whatever his name is. And then ending with this human being in charge of some sort of factory, I assume, or I don't know, in charge, but some kind of figure in here, to like a research facility, to, well, they call it a soldier factory. So that actually, I honestly didn't even really process that until right this second. So that does give us some insight into what's happening here. They're making an army from humans. That's interesting. This is getting cool. This is really interesting stuff. I want to see this be a fully fleshed idea. Whatever. Nope. I was about to go into dooming territory, but I'm not going to let it happen. Just pretend like this is going to go on for as long as it needs. This is going to be a 300 chapter series, guys. Watch, just watch. Anyhow, I see this eventually getting into, I kind of forgot his name to be honest, but the guy who uses the sling as a weapon, he'll awaken to his parasite and maybe they'll enact some kind of rescue mission to get Oga back. That's kind of what I see happening. Or maybe Oga will get himself out somehow and maybe free these people and start like a revolution. That's also possible. That's kind of more axed ending territory if you ask me, but let's not talk about that. That's how it's intended to end, right? I don't know, guys. I'm so sad. Cool chapter. Really cool stuff. I like this series. God damn it. Let me enjoy things, Shonen Jump. Man. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for our Weekly Shonen Jump 2026, issue number 21. This was an okay week, honestly. There wasn't a whole lot of standouts, and I found myself with not a lot to say about a lot of the chapters. They were all just kind of, like, not even really bridge chapters, just, like, they're just chapters. Like, harmless, inoffensive, whatever chapters. I don't know. That just kind of felt like a pretty much universal thing across the board. But as always, one chapter did stand out amongst the rest, and my chapter of the week this week goes to Akane-banashi Chapter 203 session. Getting it once again. I honestly, after I read this chapter, I was like, I don't know, maybe I think something else is going to step up to the plate this week. But no, nothing really got to that level. And I did love this chapter of Akane-banashi, don't get me wrong, but it was more of like a in the middle chapter. Like I see probably next chapter, even the chapter beyond that being far better. But this is just a week where nothing else really even matched up to a, less than perfect chapter of Akane-banashi, because that's just how good Akane-banashi is, I guess. It's just always at like a base level above so many other things in the magazine. And One Piece didn't really do what I wanted it to do this week. So it's wasn't really a tough competition, to be honest. But congrats to Akane-banashi. It was still an amazing chapter. Just not something I expected to get chapter of the week, to be honest. All right, next week we have a combined issue with issue number 22/23, and Sakamoto Days will take the lead color page, but as you know, that doesn't mean he's really getting the cover per se, because combined issues always have the big, combined cover of every series running in the magazine at the same time. So that's what we'll get next week. Excited to see that. I always love those covers. And that also means that the week after next week, we will just have a complete break week of Shonen Jump. We'll see what happens then. I'll definitely have a video out that Monday still. I just don't know what it'll be yet. It'll at the very least give me some much needed time to work on other videos, because I've been struggling to find the time lately. But more stuff soon, I promise. All right, that's gonna do it. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment with your thoughts on this issue. Let me know your favorite chapter of the week, your least favorite chapter of the week, or anything else you'd like to tell me about from this issue. Remember, you can also become a channel member at 3 tiers. You can click the join button to see which tier works best for you. You get things like early access to new videos, name in the credits, exclusive monthly videos, emotes, and if you join at the highest tier, you get your name read out loud right now. So thank you to DJ Tengen, Milu Kitty, Braden Farrell, Halfpipe, Rafker, the Cosmere64, Cosmic, Key to the Skies, Iliadis, Noobs Rock, and Dan. Thank you all so much for your support, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in whatever you decide to watch next. Take it easy, guys.